Ladies and gentlemen, in this very moment, you are here, not in the past where struggle once lived, not in the future where desires are projected, but now. This is the only place where change can happen, where energy begins to move, where abundance starts. You will find not only money beginning to flow, but something far more profound. A relationship with space, with self, with source. Salt, at first glance, appears ordinary. White crystals used to season food, a substance so common that it often escapes our notice. Notice. But throughout human history, salt has held a sacred status in spiritual, energetic, and healing traditions. Its simplicity conceals its power. In many ancient cultures, salt was considered more valuable than gold. It was offered in rituals, used to seal sacred agreements, and even employed as a currency. But beyond its historical and economic significance, salt holds a deeper, more subtle quality, an energetic one. Salt has the unique ability to absorb, purify, and neutralize negative energies. It does not mask or suppress them, it transforms them. This is not mystical superstition, but rather a form of natural intelligence. Salt's molecular structure is stable and grounding. When placed in a space, it begins to interact with the environment on a vibrational level. It pulls dense, stagnant energy into itself, much like a sponge soaks up water. This is why salt is used in purification ceremonies, why it's sprinkled around new homes, and why spiritual practitioners across cultures place it in bowls or corners of rooms, but to cleanse and restore energetic balance. In the unseen world, energy is everything. What we call a bad luck, a blockages, or a lack of flow is often an accumulation of unresolved, unacknowledged, or unprocessed energy within us and around us. The environment we live in absorbs our emotional states. Anger lingers in the walls. Grief settles in the air. Worry takes root in the floor. These vibrations do not simply vanish. They stay unless released. Salt becomes the silent purifier, the agent of release. There is something deeply humbling about salt. It does not seek attention. It does not sparkle. It simply does its work in stillness. And it is in that quiet, consistent purification that it becomes a tool for transformation. The act of placing salt with awareness becomes a moment of presence. You are no longer acting out of habit or rushing through daily routines. You are pausing. Fruity frame. You are connecting with your space. You are choosing to participate in your own energetic well-being. In modern homes, clutter and overstimulation have replaced simplicity and calm. The very architecture of our lives is often disconnected from nature. Electronics, noise, busyness all contribute to energetic congestion. Salt is a return to the earth. It is elemental, grounding, and deeply aligned with the natural world. When you place salt in your environment, you are essentially inviting a return to harmony, to clarity. Clarity. You are saying, let this space be clean. Let it be open. Let it be receptive. The beauty of salt lies in its accessibility. It asks for no rituals, no tools, no complexity, just presence, just intention. A small bowl in the right place, placed mindfully, with clarity of heart, is more powerful than grand gestures made in unconscious haste. It is not the salt alone that works, but the consciousness behind the act. When salt has absorbed enough energy, you will often notice a shift. Sometimes the grains clump, discolor, or take on moisture from the air. This is not merely physical. It is the salt's way of showing you that it has served its purpose. At this point, it must be released with gratitude, and the cycle begins again. In using salt to cleanse your space, you are not only clearing what is around you, you are realigning what is within you. This seemingly simple substance reminds us that purification does not require effort, only awareness. In that awareness, abundance begins to stir. We often think of wealth as something that exists outside of us, a number in a bank account, the balance of our investments, the possessions we accumulate. But what if true wealth begins, not with what we can see or count, but with what we feel and believe? What if material abundance is simply the reflection of an inner state, a response to the frequency we hold within? This is the essence of energetic wealth. The understanding that everything in the physical world is first born in the invisible, in the realm of energy, thought, and emotion. The universe is energetic in nature. Everything vibrates, including your intentions, your beliefs, your fears, and your hopes. Prosperity is not an isolated outcome, but a vibration, a frequency you emit and receive. Before money arrives in your hands, it arrives in your mind, in your emotions, in your energy field. If you are carrying beliefs of lack, fear, or unworthiness, even if money comes, it will find its way out just as quickly. But when your energy is aligned with abundance, when your inner state radiates trust, openness, and gratitude, then you begin to attract not just money, but opportunities, support, and flow. This does not mean you should reject material wealth. Quite the opposite. Money is a powerful energy when it is understood and respected. But to rely solely on external actions, working harder, chasing, striving, without aligning your energy first, is like planting seeds in dry soil. The ground must be prepared. The energy must be ready to receive. This is where simple practices like placing salt in a sacred space come in. It's not about superstition or shortcuts. It's about tuning your inner and outer environment to the frequency of prosperity. Salt purifies the energy around you, making the space more coherent and clear and clear. But more importantly, the act of placing it with intention helps align your consciousness. It shifts your focus from lack to presence, from anxiety to trust. It becomes a declaration. I am ready to receive. This readiness is not forced. It is not a mental affirmation repeated without belief. It is a quiet opening, a gentle surrender to the natural flow of life. Money, like all forms of energy, responds to flow. When you are tight, worried, and holding on, you create resistance. But when you are relaxed, present, and trusting, you create space, and money flows into that space with ease. Energetic wealth also invites you to redefine what abundance means. It may begin with money, but it does not end there. True abundance includes peace of mind, deep relationships, creative fulfillment, physical vitality, and a sense of purpose. These are not separate from financial wealth. They are the foundation of it. When your energy is rich in gratitude, joy, and trust, it naturally attracts more richness into your life in all forms. So the journey to material wealth is not only about strategies and actions, it is about inner alignment. Your thoughts must reflect abundance. Your emotions must feel safe receiving. Your body must relax into trust. And your environment, your home, your sacred space must be a mirror of that inner clarity. Begin by noticing your energetic habits. Are you constantly worrying about bills, doubting your worth, or fearing the future? These are not just thoughts, they are vibrations. When you catch them, don't judge, simply shift. Bring awareness to your breath, to the present moment. Place a small bowl of salt in your sacred space as a reminder to clear the clutter, not only from your environment, but from your mind and heart, as you begin to live from a place of energetic wealth. Material wealth often follows, not as a chase, but as a natural response. It flows toward clarity, toward stillness, toward those who are ready to receive with both hands open, not from need, but from knowing. In our fast-paced world, where tasks are performed on autopilot and actions are often driven by habit rather than intention, we forget the immense power of mindful presence. The smallest action, when done with awareness, can become a doorway to transformation. This is especially true in the case of placing salt within your home, not as a casual habit, but as a conscious ritual. The act of placing salt in a sacred space, when done with mindfulness and intent, becomes far more than a symbolic gesture. It becomes a direct energetic communication with the space around you, and more importantly, with your inner self. Salt on its own is not magical, fun. It does not generate wealth by itself. It is a conduit, a vessel for your intention. What gives it power is your presence in the moment you place it. The stillness with which you select the spot, the reverence with which you pour the grains into the bowl, the clarity of thought you hold as you do so, these are what activate the energetic potential of the act. Without awareness, even the most sacred practices become empty. With awareness, even the simplest action becomes sacred. When you perform this act mindfully, it becomes a ritual of alignment. You are aligning your thoughts, emotions, and space toward a single purpose, openness to abundance, Intention is a subtle energy. It is not loud or forced. It doesn't demand or push. It simply declares, I am ready. When you place the salt with this kind of clarity, the message reverberates not only through your home, but through your energetic field. It tells your mind to let go of clutter. It tells your heart to open. It tells your heart to open. It tells your environment to shift and clear space for something new. This is the true nature of ritual. It is not superstition or blind repetition. Ritual is conscious action infused with presence. When done regularly, it creates a field of resonance that shapes your reality. Think of it like tuning an instrument. Your home, your body, your mind, they are all instruments. If left untuned, they can fall into disharmony. But when attuned regularly with intention, they begin to vibrate in harmony with your desires and higher purpose. Mindfulness also changes your relationship with money itself. Instead of seeing money as a struggle or a pursuit, you begin to see it as a reflection of how open, aligned, and receptive you are. The salt becomes a symbol of cleansing the noise and confusion that blocks this natural flow. Each time you change the salt, whether weekly or monthly, you are not just discarding old crystals. You are letting go of old energies, outdated beliefs, and stagnant emotions. The practice becomes a gentle reset, a moment of returning to what is essential. In this way, you train yourself to live with intention in every part of life, not just when placing salt, but in the way you speak, eat, walk, and breathe. You begin to understand that it is not grand actions that shape your destiny, but the quality of your awareness and small, consistent choices. The salt is not just for the space, it is for your consciousness. It invites you to slow down, to be fully present, to remember that the sacred lives in the simple. And so, do not rush the act. Let it be quiet. Let it be deliberate. Choose the bowl with care. Choose the location with intuition. Intuition. Place the salt with calm. Speak your intention softly or in silence, and then leave it. Let it do its quiet work, just as you return to yours, with the calm knowing that what you have activated is not a trick, but a transformation. Over time, you may notice changes, shifts in energy, unexpected blessings, opportunities appearing, or simply a deeper sense of peace. This is the result not just of salt, but of your intention made real. The outer becomes a reflection of the inner fresh. And in that space of quiet alignment, abundance begins to flow. And so, dear friends, as we come to the end of this journey together, let us remember that what may appear simple on the surface, like a small bowl of salt, is often a gateway to something profound. It is not the salt alone that holds the power, but the consciousness with which you place it. In creating a sacred space in your home, you are creating a sacred space within yourself. You are saying yes to stillness, to clarity, to energetic alignment, and to the flow of true abundance. Wealth is not only measured in money, but in peace, presence, and purpose. Ha! When your inner world is in order, your outer world naturally begins to reflect that harmony. The act of placing salt becomes a symbolic, yet powerful, gesture of your readiness to receive, not from desperation, but from alignment. Not from lack, but from wholeness. So the next time you place that salt, do it with intention, do it with grace. Let it remind you of the quiet truth that abundance is not something you chase, but something you align with. And the moment you align, it begins to arrive. Thank you.